Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of my Fiesta ST180 series. Now today is a very special day because I'm actually down in SportPerformance. The car is actually in their dyno, ready to be tuned to stage 1 plus. So it's going to be a custom tune with TRS. So as you guys already know, the car's running a 3-inch Scorpion catback exhaust, stage 1 Airtec intercooler and an ITG air intake as well. So all of the hardware is in place. We just needed to make sure that we have the right map. I've chosen TRS because they have an excellent reputation in the Fiesta community, but also with other marques as well. So they've got a good track record of tuning cars, and I've gone for a custom tune because I want the tune to be specific to my car, my hardware, the mileage and the age of the car, etc. So we're looking for around about 230 brake horsepower, about 360 Newton meters of torque. We may get a bit less, we may get a little bit more. It is obviously going to go on the hub dyno as well, and most importantly we will get because of the dyno room, we will get the figures, so we'll know exactly what this car is making by the end of the video. So I'm very excited. The car's just going through some initial checks at the moment. Once those are done, the car will be ready to start that process. So please do stay tuned because this is going to be a good one. So this is what the hub dyno will attach to, basically, and spin the wheel. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, so far what's happening is the car is being prepared to be attached to the hub dyno. So the hub dyno is generally better than using the traditional rollers for various different reasons. I mean, things like slip from tyre, especially if it's been raining, the way that the car's been tied down can all actually affect the reading that you might get on the dyno. So the hub dyno is a very accurate way of actually determining what the car can make in terms of its power and torque. So the prep work is being done, and it's all part of the process. So ladies and gentlemen, the car is now pretty much set up. It's going to go for its first run on the dyno very shortly. Everything's been set up, and it's basically just to see where the car is at in terms of stock. So we can see it's been switched on. We've got a nice big fan at the front here as well, and obviously that's to keep the car nice and cool. So when the engine's going to be working quite hard, I'm just going to watch my feet here. Engine's going to be working quite hard, so obviously we need to make sure that the adequate cooling is done to the engine as well. So Connor's just sitting inside at the moment, just going through some of the settings. He's attached full scan, some other things on the software as well. So we basically need to see what the stock power is first, and that will then enable us to know exactly what we're going to be working up against in terms of the custom file that's going to be prepared. update while the car's in the dyno at the moment. Hopefully you can hear me through all the noise in the workshop here. But essentially, the car's made 200 brake horsepower stock. Remember, it does have that overboost function as well, so 200 brake horsepower stock. And about 298 newton meters of torque. So those are all very good figures. There's no issues with the cars being data logged, no issues whatsoever. So it's really working quite hard, working quite well, sorry. And this is on 99.1 fuel. The map is also going to be on 99.1 fuel, that's what I use. So it's now on to the map, and let's see what power figures we actually achieve with the custom Stage 1 Plus. Just had the custom Stage 1 file put on. I've just spoken to Connor, and after the first run it's making 234 brake horsepower to 235 brake horsepower and around about 390 newton meters of torque. He did mention there's a slight dip in the fuel pressure. I think that's what I heard him say, quite noisy in the workshop. So he's going to see if the car adapts with the second run. Otherwise we might just tone down the power level slightly. Could be a number of reasons why there was that fuel pressure dip, but it's undergoing the second run at the moment. We'll see what it is. To be honest, I'm happy with 230 plus brake horsepower, and that torque reading's not too bad either, so it's all looking good at the moment. 4.9, 396. Wow, that's decent.
Second run made a little bit more. The intercooler is struggling a little bit.
Okay.
It's fine for road use, but we do tend to recommend the larger intercoolers.
Okay.
Because they do perform that little bit better. You can see just here, the amount of torque that's been getting. I think that's probably where peak torque is almost.
Yeah.
So making the best part of 100 newton meters of torque.
At 3,000 RPM.
3,000 RPM.
Okay, and then the power as well is coming on a little bit later, isn't it? About 5,000.
Still coming on more, just because
it
is just more. It's more everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
But if you see, like here, the delta gains, I imagine around about here.
Yep.
There's probably, I would say, there's probably almost 50 brake horsepower delta gains to be had in between 4,000 and 5,000 5,000 RPM.
So with the second run complete, the car is making 234.9 brake horsepower, so that's 235 brake horsepower in my book, and about 396 newton meters of torque. So the second run is consistent. Those are really good figures, and obviously it's going to be great when I actually get to drive the car now and see what difference it's going to be over stock. I can't wait to do that. Connor mentioned the intercooler was struggling a little bit, so I may look to actually get a bigger intercooler and fit that in the very near future, but I suppose that's really only going to be a problem if I'm really tracking the car and on hot summer days. But in any case, it might be an upgrade that I consider in the future. But for the moment, the car is making exactly what I wanted it to make, close to 235 brake horsepower. and very good torque as well, and everything else on the car is looking spot on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now back home after a 550 mile journey. Half of that has been with the stock car, so 200 brake horsepower, 290 Newton meters of torque, and the other half, so about 250 miles, has been with the Stage 1 Plus Remap, and I can tell you that the car is completely transformed. Think of it like this: so you've got Usain Bolt running, sprinting with a parachute on. He's going to be very restricted. As soon as you take the parachute off, he's going to be able to get to full speed. It's the same with this car. It seems now that any restrictions have been completely removed, and the car is just punching through the gears, first and second gears, which are normally torque limited. That's been removed. They've got a lot more flexibility in gear 1 and gear 2, and then what happens is, as soon as you get to about 2.5 to 3,000 RPM, the car pulls really strongly, really hard, puts a really big smile on your face as well. But there's definitely more traction, sorry, more drivability with the engine as well, and the RPM as well is set a little bit, the RPM limit is set a little bit higher, so you get to use a little bit more. You can eke out just a little bit more revs as well in each gear, but it's a fantastic transformation. The car really is, it's a night and day difference. It really makes a big difference. You really feel the kind of being pushed back into the seat. The stock car almost feels fast, there's no question about that, but with the Remap it feels so much more quicker, so much more urgent, and you can take on the motorway when you're cruising along, you can do overtakes in 6th gear, put your foot down, and the car will just effortlessly pick up acceleration. So that's in 6th gear. When you're in 5th, 4th, 3rd, etc., and you're going for an overtake on a country lane, for example, the car absolutely, you've got to be very careful. You've almost got to modulate the throttle more, and the roll restrictor that's on this car comes into play more now as well. I think if it didn't have the roll restrictor, it would be quite wayward when you go for hard acceleration, but it's all very composed with the roll restrictor, but you do have to modulate the throttle a lot more. I think for this car, Stage 1 Plus tune for 235 brake horsepower is absolutely fantastic. It completely makes the car how it should have really come from the factory, and importantly, the character of the engine remains the same. So the way that the engine delivers its power, the linear power delivery, etc., that remains the same. You just get more of it. So that is the end of the journey towards the Remap and all of the modifications that have been done for that. I have to say a big thank you to SportPerformance as well. They are really nice guys, and they really know their stuff as well. They're very professional. They get to work on the car straight away, do everything properly, and I'm actually grateful that they gave me access to be in the workshop and the dyno cell at the same time to get the recordings as well. There's not many people that would allow customers to be inside the workshop. Of course, when the dyno run was being done, I wasn't in the workshop then for health and safety safety reasons, but during the setup, etc., you know, I could easily go in and see what's what and ask questions as well. So big thumbs up to SportPerformance. In terms of what's next, so what I'm thinking now is to think about moving on to the suspension modifications. Personally, I really like the stock suspension. I'm not a real fan of lowering, particularly for looks, so I'm going to be thinking about perhaps coilovers, because that would allow me to have quite a lot of adjustability but keep the stock ride height. But if I can't quite stretch my budget towards coilovers, then I would probably go for Bilstein dampers and IBAC lowering springs, which would lower it a little bit, but it would still give me that kind of feeling that the standard suspension setup actually has. But of course, rather than buy Ford shocks and springs, I might as well get Bilstein and IBAC. But these are all things for me to think about and discuss and talk through in a future video, and I'll hopefully see you then. So please do keep a lookout for new videos on the Fiesta ST180 as we start to go towards other aspects of the car to make sure that the whole overall package continues to improve. I'll see you soon.